All right, we are in the lead-up to the championship game of the West Coast Conference tournament here at the Orleans Arena, and I am glad to be welcomed by Alex Jensen, the voice of the Gales. Alex, you've been here a few days.
Few days.
A few days.
A couple days too long.
Exactly. Being here in Vegas every year, it's like we're now in the March tradition that is Gonzaga and St. Mary's championship game, and we got to see St. Mary's last night play Santa Clara, played pretty well against that squad, but we also got to see kind of few different wrinkles from them that we may not have seen. Like we got Space and Forbes obviously have a great game last night.
Yeah.
Kind of like what were your initial impressions of what you saw from them last night? Because they looked obviously coming up to that game wasn't a very good event. They looked more like themselves. Yeah.
I think they look fresh. I mean, I really thought in that Gonzaga game in Moraga, I mean, credit to the Zags, they played very well, and they probably win that game played on that night. They probably win it 9 times out of 10 the way they played. But I just felt like St. Mary's was tired in that last game in Moraga. It's the end of a long season. You've expanded so much energy to get to where you're at and to get it done in Malibu before coming home to take on Gonzaga. I just thought the Gales looked gassed, especially with their injuries and guys having to play more minutes. So I think the 9 days off, first of all, was a major help. And you mentioned Mason Forbes. I just think he's gotten more comfortable. The more minutes he's played, the better he's gotten in the system, the more comfortable he is. I think he's a guy that moves really well without the ball. He's a different type of player, obviously, than Joshua Jefferson. He moves really well without the ball, and the more you play with guys in game settings, the easier that becomes. So, especially in the second half, we saw, kind of a couple of tic-tac-toe from the top to the wing, and Forbes cutting down the middle for a wide open dunk. And then I think he's been really good on defense too. So, I thought they were fresher, Zach. I think Mason Forbes is getting more accustomed to his role in the offense, especially in game situations. And obviously Alex Dukas. I think Alex Dukas is taking the next step as a leader, just in terms of, no Kyle Bowen, no Logan Johnson. He's the last guy from that group. And I just kind of think he has his finger on the pulse of the rest of the guys in that locker room.
Yeah, you can kind of see that he's taking a little bit more of that leadership. Well, it's taking him some time to actually kind of adjust to that, and part of that might have been because he was still coming back from the injury, still trying to figure his own self out. Randy mentioned it in the post game that said it just took him time to kind of physically get back to where he was before the injury a year ago, and we're starting to see just like as that leadership component has been happening. Like we've also seen just his on-court performance just get better and better. Because last time it was 7 for 11 overall from threes. He hit the first 6 for 7. He even hit one that was like there was a foul called off the ball, and he still hit that one. And it's like so like you just saw like how confident and he's been shooting like 50% since conference play began. Overall, like kind of like talk a little bit more about just like the impact that he's had, especially like in the last month or so. It really since he's picked him up.
Yeah, I think his game is rounded out a little bit too. It's not just scoring and shooting threes. I mean, he had 4 assists last night. I think over his last 8 games, he's averaging over 2 assists per game. So it's not just what he's doing scoring wise. It's the other ways that he's helping this team win. He's rebounding. He's averaging, I believe, just over 7 rebounds over that same stretch. He's shooting 60% from 3, knock on wood. During that stretch, he's kind of playing at the level that we saw in the NCAA tournament a year ago. So I think, it goes beyond just being being a scorer. He's a leader, and he's finding more ways to contribute on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and I mean, Alex Dukas is obviously like one of like the couple seniors on this team. Mitchell Saxon being another one of those. And with Mitchell, we know that he's been one of the better rebounders, one of the best defenders in the league. He's named defensive player of the year. Last night he got into a little bit of foul trouble. He did end up fouling out of that one. He played 25 minutes.
Jim Meehan in the house, by the way. The great Jim Meehan of the Spokesman Review. There he is. Yeah.
The crowd goes wild.
Anyway, had to give Jim Meehan a shout.
Mitchell talks just like he did struggle a little bit last night. And mainly is the foul trouble. And one of the things that has been highlighted is just the lack of depth that they have at that big spot. And Mason Forbes was able to step in and was able to fill some of those minutes. But like think about like in a game like this where Gonzaga has size after size after size, just how careful he has to be, or like how do you know if like how does his strategy have to change in a game like this when he knows he can't get into foul trouble because they are so thin at that spot?
Yeah, he's got to be smart. And, a lot of it depends on how the game is called as well. I thought the game in Moraga, they really let him play. And I think, if you have a savvy officiating crew, you understand the stakes and you kind of, I'm not going to say let guys get away with stuff, but kind of the depth. You want the game to be decided on the court, right? But, outside, he's going to have to be smart. And that's where Mason Forbes was so huge for the Gales last night. But this is a different type of team. There's a different type of size with Gonzaga than with Santa Clara. Santa Clara is a very big team. Obviously, they were missing Cafaro last night. But with Gonzaga, you just have so many. The three bigs can complement each other in so many different ways. And you have Braden Huff coming off the bench. So you really have four guys you could play at the four. And in the pinch, I don't think Big Greg's at 5, but play him at the 5 as well. So it's for Mitch, he's just going to have to be smart because it's a much different animal, going up against Gonzaga and trying to play the 4 out than it is against Santa Clara. Now the Gales with their depth compromise, last Saturday out-rebounded the Zags by 11, but they were 8 for 23 on layups. So they just in that game, Zags, they just didn't do what they needed to do. The live ball turnovers were a big issue, but that includes Saxon. He's got to be good on both sides of the ball. It doesn't mean he needs to score 20 or even 15, but he's got to be efficient.
That's one thing I didn't notice going after that game is that they had a lot of chances. They still rebounded the ball very well. They just did not capitalize on
17 offensive rebounds.
And that's the thing. Like we know that this St. Mary's team, that's one of the things they do very well. They're one of the best in second chance points. They're one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. And they did one part of it. They just did not do the other part.
Right.
And so I would expect them now to do a little bit better at that. But one thing I noticed about last night is that just thinking through about what Gonzaga's strategy-wise done is they usually try to implement that three-quarter press a little bit more against St. Mary's. Try to speed them up a little bit more. And there was a little bit of a moment last night where we saw St. Mary's play faster intention. There was an intent to play faster to an extent. We saw them on the break a little bit more in that first half. And then in the first half, they were 10-4 advantage in fast break points. They were moving the ball a little bit better. How do you think that this team might try to combat that threat that Gonzaga is going to have? That's obviously a challenge that St. face. We took last few times that they've seen this block.
Well, I think their personnel with Marshall Onis in the place of Logan Johnson just gives them the skill set to handle that press a little bit better. It got to him a little bit in Moraga, and I thought that the adjustment that Mark Few made to really pressure the ball handler when they got over the half-court line, that press is just to kind of speed them up, make them work to get it across the line, and then they get into trapping in the half-court. And that's what caused a lot of the sloppy live ball turnovers that fueled Gonzaga's transition. And that's how they really deliver that big blow, their kind of patented big blow we saw last night with USF, getting out in transition, hitting trailers, getting in the basket, getting up and down. I'm not sure it's as much the press as it is the ball pressure that makes the biggest difference. So we'll see what the St. Mary's adjustment to that is. Again, we saw it in the WCC championship game last year, and the Gales didn't really have a chance to counter that in another matchup. So 10 days ago, we saw the ball pressure on Marshall Onis and especially on Aiden Mahaney. So what's the zig? What's the zig to Gonzaga's zag? See what I did there? What is the zig? What's St. Mary's zig to the zag of the adjustment of the ball pressure in the half court? Because listen, for St. Mary's to beat Gonzaga, they know this. Aiden Mahaney's got to have a good game. It's not, again, he doesn't have to score 25, but his role is to score. They need him to score. So if that ball pressure kind of helps, get him out of rhythm, I think that's Gonzaga's. Objective by doing that. It worked in this game a year ago. He was a volume shooter in Morocco at 6 of 19 from the field. He did have 16 points, but 6 of 19 from the field. So, again, that kind of helps, hopefully, for Gonzaga to speed you up and even more so force turnovers, which is what they want. The live ball turnovers is death for St. Mary's or anybody against Gonzaga. They're one of the best teams in transition in the country.
So, now looking at this game, this did not go well for St. Mary's in Oregon. This game was a blowout.
Say the least.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But the St. Mary's squad, it almost this going into this year kind of was on a mission because they had the share of the regular season title and they didn't finish the job here in Vegas. Now it does seem like that they got the regular season outright title in the regular season. It does seem like that they are still like there's that hunt on the mission that they have to finish the job because that's the thing that this group has not done. It's been a full cycle since they last won the WCC championship. Jordan Ford, I believe, fits to the last one to win here.
Jordan Hunter, most outstanding player. Yeah,
and one of great performance in that championship game.
Yeah.
Tommy Kuzi with a great performance in that title game.
Right.
That was one of the ones I actually I missed. I was not here. I'm just screaming at the TV at home watching that game. But can you talk about how maybe the guys have talked about this game or what the mentality has been all year long? Because this was the one thing they haven't checked the box off on.
Well, yeah, it's on the board in their locker room. It's one of their goals as a team. One was the WCC championship outright. I remember talking to Mitchell Saxon after the Gales beat San Diego to clinch a share of the WCC championship, and his whole message was, "We've done this already. You know, we've shared the WCC title. We won it outright." And I think that's going to be there's going to be a similar mindset coming into tonight. We've played in this game several times before. We left something on the table last year. I think. Additionally, I think the Gales feel like they didn't play well, and it wasn't a true representation of themselves last Saturday as well. So I think those are two motivating factors for sure. But the biggest one being, like you said, they haven't done this before, and they want to do things. They want to set the bar of this program higher than when they got here. And this game in this event, the event that Gonzaga has controlled, not only since it's been here in Las Vegas, but going back to the late '90s. Right? I mean, no one's been able to beat Gonzaga here outside of St. Mary's 3 times. And like you said, this group hasn't done it. So I think that is a huge motivating factor.
Well, it's Gonzaga, St. Mary's, WCC championship on the line here in Las Vegas. Alex, thanks for hopping on. It's always great to talk with you. Two class of 2008s from St. Mary's.
That's right. That's right. What townhouse were you? Were you in Guerrero? Right? Guerrero?
I was down in Freitas my senior year.
Okay.
I was
a Sayufi guy.
All those inner townhouses, that lower townhouse group. But always good time down there, and I'm sure I've seen a good number of classmates already start to pop up here and there as well. All right, Alex, again, great to talk to you. I'll let you get back to your prep for the game tonight.
Always great to visit with you, Zach. Thanks for having me, man. Enjoy the game.